Hello and welcome to Talkin Jake. Happy holidays, happy post-Thanksgiving, happy Christmas, basically. It's December 2nd, and the hot stove has just warmed up a little bit. Frankie Montas returns to New York City. He is the New York Mets' first real move of their offseason. We'll talk about that a little bit. And then of this morning, Matthew Boyd. He signs with the Chicago Cubs, which I don't know if that's going to be a significant move in their offseason, a mid-tier move in their offseason. I know Cubs fans are looking for a little more, but let's talk about both of those. Tommy Edman got extended. I care and I don't. Dodgers just get to do stuff like that. It's kind of, I have that as one of the major advantages of being a big market team, that you could take a chance on whatever Tommy Edman looks like the next 5 years, not need him to have an 850 OPS, and you're going to have him contribute in a bunch of different ways. But the bigger interest to me is more so how this pitching free agency is off to its start, and what that means for, God, I feel like I keep walking myself into Luis Castillo trade scenarios that feel like they're going to happen this offseason. And maybe even retooling your pitching staff as we're seeing the value for Frankie Montas as, man, this guy is either going to go down as like, what's the phrase? Horseshoe up his butt? Maybe that's just a family phrase where I'm from. But Frankie Montas, man, he got $14 million from Cincinnati last year, and everyone was kind of like, okay, yeah, you pay for pitch. It's a one-year deal. No such thing as a bad one-year deal. And Frankie Montas goes out, and he does kind of what he's done since 2022. Now, there is a caveat there that I want to talk about. Because in 2022 with Oakland, he was pretty solid. He came over to the Yankees, he got rocked, and he was hurt. So he had a really strong 2021. He had a very solid 2022 for Oakland before coming to the Yankees, pitching poorly, getting hurt. He misses, I was going to say all of 2023, but it's not. 1.1 innings. The Yankees
made it back.
The final game of the year? Was that
the final homestand at least, I think.
Crazy. Another crazy accent to the future Jolly Olive video. What happened to the 2023 Yankees? But he made it back. So he was a free agent pitcher ready to pitch. And so he did. In 2024, he threw 150 innings, which that's a new mile marker for starting pitchers. That's unfortunately not rare air, but you've essentially pitched a whole season. 30 starts, 19 with Cincinnati. Tough place to pitch, a team not known for their defense. To the tune of a 5.01 ERA, excuse me. And sure, I'm sure if I want to get in there and butter knife it a little bit, like I'm about to with Milwaukee, where he got traded, pitched 11 games there, a 4.55 ERA, and in his first handful of starts with Milwaukee, I want to say his first 9, Frankie Montas was pretty good. He had a 3.55 ERA, and he was punching tickets. He went from less than a strikeout per inning with Cincinnati to over a strikeout per inning with Milwaukee. And I think the important thing of note there, the team involved. The Milwaukee Brewers, they have a track record of tapping into pitchers. They've become one of the pitching factories in baseball. That they saw something at the deadline that they said, we're going to trade from our prospect pool, our livelihood, our what keeps the Brewers perennial contenders, their youth. They traded from that to bring in Frankie Montas at the deadline. Sure, they needed innings, and they were probably looking for whatever was the right value, but they thought they could tap into Montas. They did strikeout-wise, and yeah, if you take out his one Arizona start where he got knocked around 2.2 innings, 7 earned runs.
Most runs scored in the league, Arizona.
Best offense in baseball. your Arizona Diamondbacks. This is a Diamondbacks hat.
Wow.
People don't know that. I think it was a giveaway from them, and I was still in sucking up to the D-backs mood, and they sent me one of these. It's a weird train flex. Nobody's jealous, but everyone's just like, what is that? That's for the YouTube people. I'm wearing a Yankees hat. No, I'm wearing a D-backs hat and a Yankees shirt, and it's Cyber Monday. I think it's 30% off our shop, so maybe go check that out. Montas' 9 starts. I was kind of butchering the numbers. 50.2 innings, 60 strikeouts, a 3.55, 210 opponent batting average. So, this was good Frankie Montas. The Brewers are a good pitching team. I believe they raised his arm angle. The numbers on his sinker were good. The numbers on his four-seamer were bad. We've seen a lot of pitchers go to that sinker route. Frankie Montas, he's kind of a couple years removed from injury. He threw 150 last year, which is valuable, and he has higher-end arm talent that the Mets, who they believe they're becoming one of the new baseball pitching factories, Jeremy Hefner, David Stearns, their GM or president, whatever they have him labeled, came over from Milwaukee, obviously, that if Milwaukee thought Montas had more in there, if these version of the Mets think there's more in there, there's a chance there's more in there. There's also a chance there's not, which we'll find out from Montas. But last year, Quintana, Sevy, and Minaya, they all pitched pretty well. The Mets brought them in. That them to go out and get Frankie Montas means this is a guy they had circled. This isn't second half of free agency, what pitchers are available, maybe we could get him at a good price. They went and they got him. So they had him circled. And I'm guessing you're going to see more sinkers from him next year, maybe some more split. Let's see what they tap into with Frankie Montas. And I think it's going to be an interesting comparison, him and Luis Severino, who they brought in last year. They offered Sevy the qualifying offer. He turned that down. And I don't know. Sevy's success next year will kind of be compared to Montas. I don't know if that's just in my head because they're former Yankees. I don't know if it's because Sevy was kind of a one-year guy, and Montas, who has a player option for the following season, which that blew my mind this morning. Because if the Mets do think he can tap into something, that means he's going to opt out, which means this is a 1 for $17 million deal for the Mets. The other side of that is if Montas is bad, then he's going to opt in, and you have bad Montas for another year. So this is Frankie Montas getting 2 years, $34 million as his floor was the first pitching reminder of these guys get paid. It's insane. You don't see hitters with a 90 OPS plus getting paid, but Frankie Montas the past 3 seasons now, he hasn't been a plus pitcher since 2021. It's crazy. That's crazy.
And last year's first year, he gave true volume.
Well, it becomes less crazy. For the Mets, it is, let's see what else they do. If Frankie Montas is the third starting pitcher they sign, that means they've had a pretty big offseason. That means they probably brought in a Burns or a Fried. That means they probably brought in someone of the next tier of the Buehlers, of the Flahertys, of Minaya. It feels like the Minaya reunion's there. So if it's Minaya, Montas, and then someone considered above Minaya, that's a massive offseason. That's a huge offseason haul. If it's Minaya and Montas, Senga coming off injury, they have other MLB guys listed as part of their rotation now, but it is interesting that the Mets this offseason is very much supposed to be viewed as the Mets are going to win this offseason. We did, a whole thing with Jolly. It seems like 3 starting pitchers minimum. Right now it's Senga, Montas, Peterson, Blackburn, McGill, which, okay. Frankie Montas was the leader in innings. Senga only had 1 regular season start. The Mets are supposed to be one of the teams of this offseason. Let's see where else they go. Is that free agency? Is that via trade? I know we were just, a lot of our Yankees offseason planning has been around salary dumping Marcus Stroman. Marcus Stroman's going to make $18 million?
18.5, I think.
18.5. That, when we were doing our offseason plans for Talkin Yanks, we kind of all dumped Stroman. We're like, hey, we can find other innings. That 18 mil we need to spend on the lineup or somewhere else. That we were kind of salary dumping Stroman, having the Yankees maybe eat a little bit of it to get Stroman down to 1 year, like $12 million. They may not need to do that. I mean, Marcus Stroman threw innings last year. He doesn't have the arm talent of Montas. Like, the Mets think they're going to tap into him. He's going to have more K per nine, and he's going to be a weapon for them. That's why they went out and got him with a player option at the start of this free agency. Marcus Stroman has thrown at least 130 innings the past 4 years. His ERA peaked last year at 4.31. That, I don't know, for a 1 year deal, $18 million, that's not bad. And especially if the Yankees are willing to sweeten the pot or take other money off of you. That is interesting to me. And the other thing that's been going through my head is Luis Castillo that I think I mentioned. It seems to me the Mariners are going to trade Luis Castillo. It seems like they don't want to pick one of their young pitchers to trade. Luis Castillo's, it feels like he's at the peak of his powers. He's about to turn 32. For whatever reason, his WAR wasn't impressive last year, but 30 games, a 3.64 ERA, strikeout per inning on the nose. And his contract now looks fine compared to free agency. He has 3 years, $24 million a year, with a vesting option in 2028, depending on injured time between 25 and 2027. So,
and then if he misses 130 plus days, so basically a full season minus like a month, it looks like it becomes a $5 million team option. So
that's always fun. I don't know. For the big market teams that need starting pitchers, the Boston Red Sox have made sense for Luis Castillo. I think the New York Mets are in on Luis Castillo. I think the Cubs should be in play for Luis Castillo. As they try to get off Belly's contract, what does Bellinger for Luis Castillo look like? That's interesting. So the money shuffling that I think is going to become more and more prevalent in baseball, I think in the starting pitcher market, especially the success the Braves had with Chris Sale last year, even though that should be illegal and nobody should count that. I'm interested to see where that goes compared to the free agent marketplace, because if you're looking to get in the free agent marketplace, Matthew Boyd just went 2 years, $29 million to your Chicago Cubbies. Man, me and Cubs fans, we're at odds a little bit right now. / there's Cubs fans on my side that I don't get it. I'm kind of mad at their front office. Someone commented on one of my Cubs tweets that they were like, part of the Cubs' frustration is they have the 11th to 20th best player at each position. So none of their positions feel like a weakness, but none of them feel like a strength. It's really weird. You look up and down the lineup and you're like, yeah, I like that guy. I like that guy. That in my head, the light bulb went off and I was like, hey, go get Corbin Burns. Make your starting pitching what your team is built on. Like, Burns is going to mow you down. Imanaga is going to mow you down. Steele's going to mow you down. And then our lineup is going to be a plus. Our defense is kind of a plus, and that's how we'll beat you. They signed Matthew Boyd. He's going to be turning 34. He pitched well last year while he was pitching. 2.72 ERA and 8 regular season starts. He also pitched well in the postseason. I think it was like 11.2 innings, 1 earned run. So when Matthew Boyd was out there last year, he was pitching. The problem with Matthew Boyd, he hadn't been out there a lot. Since and I did this on Talkin Baseball, since 2020, these are his innings pitched by season. 60.1 in 2020. Unfair. Shortened season, but
did his job.
Just a fact. Kinda. He gave up the most home runs that season.
Innings-wise, he pitched.
And the most earned runs. 2021, 78.2 innings. 2022, 13.1 innings for Seattle. People forget that. Detroit, back there in 2023, 71 innings, and last year, 39.2 innings. So Matthew Boyd has not seen 80 innings since 2019. So there's a partial concern. Hey, maybe he's put all that injury stuff in his rear view. Maybe I'm overanalyzing this, and let's see the rest of the Cubs offseason. I guess my concern is that the Cubs might not have a big offseason. And this has kind of been the Cubs conversation for a little bit now. Are they going to make big free agent signings? Are they going to make the big trade? Because it seems like we've almost gotten over that. Right now, their rotation, Imanaga, Steele, Tyone, Boyd, Javier Assad. Yeah, I mean, that's a nice NL Central rotation. Shots fired. The other thing that was interesting and of note, the Cubs do have depth. Their current three guys on the 40-man that you would call up for a spot start or injury, Jordan Wicks, who was solid for them, was it 2 years ago or last year? His end-of-season numbers last year aren't that impressive, but a young, talented lefty pitcher. Ben Brown in 55.1 innings last year, more than a strikeout per inning, a 3.58 ERA. Hayden Wesneski threw 67.2 innings last year with a strikeout per inning and a 3.86. So they have kind of 8 starting pitchers that they'd feel comfortable putting on a mound. And you've seen with teams like the Dodgers. The Rays lost a whole rotation. Like, you need starting pitching depth. There's no denying that. That, hey, maybe the Cubs are looking at this like, we believe in Boyd's potential. We've got 8 arms that we can use. That'll get us through a baseball season. Let's see what happens. I'm interested in that. And there's a world where that works. And maybe the Cubs just need the one season where winning happens. The other thing that is really starting to pique my interest with these Chicago Cubs is, hey, maybe they've kept us in the blind. We don't know their plan. I shouldn't know the Chicago Cubs plan, in theory. The Cubs are supposed to have 4 top 100 prospects ready for the majors next year. Alcantara, Shaw, Cade Horton, Owen Casey. Sure. Matt Shaw is the guy that has supposedly made Nico Horner expendable at second base. We'll see if that trade happens this offseason. The Cubs are really set up. And I guess this is what's the frustrating part, but maybe it's the exciting part. Hey, maybe Matthew Boyd was brought in to be a 4th or 5th starter. You know, if he gets banged up, you can use him out of the bullpen. He's an MLB pitcher. You should be excited Matthew Boyd's on your team. Again, it's what tier move is it? If they go out and they make a big trade, let's say does Cody Bellinger and Nico Horner for Luis Castillo do something? I don't know. BBD trade simulator? 2 years of Nico Horner, Cody Bellinger for probably 1 or 2 years, Luis Castillo.
Max of 2, yeah.
That's like in an area. The Mariners get 2 hitters, 2 MLB hitters who play good defense.
Trying to figure out which side, has to throw something else in.
I would think that the Mariners would ask for a little more. But even like a prospect.
Yeah,
just because
a lottery chip type.
Cody Bellinger right now is viewed as overpaid. And I think Nico Horner's offensive profile is limited. Like, he's not going to be a pop guy.
He's been consistently above average at the plate, but the ceiling, what is that?
I don't know. I guess you guys in the comments, maybe this is the comment of the day. Luis Castillo for Cobell and Nico Horner. Do you like that? Does it scare you? Comment below. We appreciate it. The Cubs are positioned to make a move. So we've got a lineup with guys we pretty much like. Like, no offense to Miguel Amaya. I'm not as familiar with his game behind the dish as I'd like to be. Catchers are catchers a little bit. But, man, they've got guys up and down the lineup that can either you could tell me what their skill is. They're either a pretty good hitter or they're a pretty good defender or somewhere in between. They have that up and down their lineup. They've got 4 prospects, top 100 prospects who are supposed to be show ready this season. Okay, they've got starting pitching depth. It's all there. My fear as a Cubs fan... Am I a Cubs fan? My fear, if I was a Cubs fan, would be them not doing a chips on the table move. Like, you have chips. The Central's been there to be had. Go do something. My worry is that they say we have all these riches. We have minor league depth. We have major league depth. We have pitching depth. We're about to go crazy. One or two of the youths doesn't work out. The lineup lands where the lineup has landed the past couple years, and then one of the other Central team clicks, and you're behind the 8 ball again. They're positioned to do something, and I'm interested to see what that is. Brennan Davis was non-tendered for them. Like, I guess this would be my perfect example. I think Brennan Davis at one point was a pretty yes, he was a top 100 prospect for the Cubbies. And now he's non-tendered? Am I reading that right? I think so. Let me double check.
It looks like non-tendered.
What website did I just end up on? I am on theforkball.com. Free ad for them.
Always end up here.
And yeah, they're looking at like the DFA guys. Yeah, I mean, Brennan Davis in 2016 was listed as a top 15 prospect. And now nothing?
Yeah.
So if you're
25 years old, non-tendered, hasn't made an MLB debut yet.
If you're the Cubs, man, I don't know. A, that smells kind of fishy and it feels like I'm missing something. But B, put the chips on the table. I don't care if it's free agency. I don't care if it's trade. Make your rotation a strength or make your lineup a strength. Don't try to do it all because that's not working. It's just not. And again, with these, the pitcher monetary values, very interesting. Will the Luis Castillo trade happen? Who's going to pay the big bucks for Burns? And like, I don't know, is this a sign from the Cubs? We know the Mets have more. Is this the Cubs thinking they're one of the smart elite front offices and we're going to tap in and get more out of Matt Boyd and that's our offseason? Because I don't like them for that. They act like they have that credit, and I personally don't think they do. Because what have they done? Come on, Cubs. Make the move. Make me happy. You know what else makes me happy? Blitzball Battle 5. Why don't you guys check out this little sneak peek we got for you.
The playoffs continue on. Blitzball Battle 5. It's the 3-6 matchup between the defending champion McFlurry Power and We Got Ice. Not only is McFlurry Power in line to successfully defend their Blitzball crown, they are still in line to win the inaugural Warehouse Cup. On the other side of things, We Got Ice. Don't get that skunk on your jersey.
Right, there's been so many issues with Jack. What are we going to get from Jack Doyle today?
And I think with the defending champs, I feel like they're in a pretty good place.
Always going to be able to pitch. Will they swing the bats?
I'm going to go ahead and take Team McFlurry Power. The fact that they still have a chance at the Cup, we know how competitive they get.
I don't think I've picked one right for the whole tournament. So I'm going to pick McFlurry Power because I'm wrong most of the time.
We will see you later today for Game 11. It's postseason time. Blitzball Battle 5.
All right. That was the world of baseball, more or less. We'll see what other breaking news we get. And I think we have a fun baseball guest next episode. Keep it tight to the chest just in case something happens. But we might have a couple fun things coming up interview-wise. One not in the world of baseball.
Whoa.
Be some funny business. We'll see. Let's do some gobble football weekend. And you people like some of the Jake stories, so I do need to address one thing. I purchased a TV on Black Friday. I got excited. I have an old TV. I don't think I computed how old it actually is. I think it's close to 10 years, which in TV time feels crazy. But so I've had this TV. It's our living room TV, Roku TV, and it's just one of those things. It's acting old. It's an old dog, you know. Sometimes it's warming up. It takes a little bit. Sometimes to go input to input, it's taking a little bit. You know, the TV's fine, but there's also some little things that were popping up that it's like, Jake, you watch so much TV. Maybe
you
use this a lot. Like, we can get a TV. We can get one. So Black Friday rolls around. You know, maybe it's day 4 or 5 with the in-laws that help push me over the edge. But I'm like, you know what? Get a TV. I'm a man. I'll do that. So I'm looking at the TV stuff, and now I'm like, okay, I have no idea what TV I want. Is there anything I really care about? Because I'm not a tech nerd. I did like 2 Google searches, like best TVs to buy, and they just show different TVs, and they didn't even really say anything. So I went on my own scroll, and I was like, you know what? I'd obviously like a big TV. That seems cool. Jess signs off on it. She's like, yeah, our current TV wall area space, there's nothing else there. She doesn't want to put anything else there. That anything that's occupied by TV is good. So I say, okay, well, let's dance. Searching TVs, and there was one that popped up. I don't know. There's always people that are going to give you crap on Twitter or any social media. I don't know. It's like it's an Insignia. I don't know. The price looked right. Everything was fine. And they offered sizes. So in my head, my current TV was a 60 or 65 inch. And I was like, okay. There's space to play with. It's a big wall. It's an I should start over. It's a New York City apartment. So it's a big wall in that scope. That I was like, okay, I can go bigger. And I had permission from Jess. So there's a 75. And I'm like, okay. Interested. Is that too big? Is that too small? Like, if I'm only buying TVs every 10 years... I'd rather go big than small, right? Like, even if it's uncomfortable for the apartment, that's okay.
However many years it'll be in somewhere else.
2, 3, 4 years, it probably won't be an apartment, hopefully. So, I've got that in the back of my head. And man, okay, so there's probably some TV nerds out there that know the actual differences and cares. But again, I'm not that guy. I'm looking at these TV prices, and some of these big boys are pretty yummy. Because that's normally where they get you. Normally, it's like, hey, you can buy a 55-inch TV for, like, it's crazy. Under $200. Like, that's
TVs
nuts.
are not very expensive.
They figured out the technology, and now we're just slanging them. Yet, you open up some, and it's like, this TV's $1,200. And I'm like, what does it do? What does it do that I use that I'm getting that value out of it? I don't know. I still don't know. Again,
Is it just bigger?
Not a tech guy. So normally what does make sense for me is the bigger. So once you start getting into those big ranges, you see the price tag go up and you're like, yeah, that makes sense. This TV, I see an 85-inch option. I think it was around $500 or whatever. Again, I'm viewing this as a 10-year investment. it's not too far off from the 70, the 75-inch price. Sure, it's going to be big, but I don't know. It's a TV. Punched it. Excited. It's going to be delivered Sunday. I'll come home Sunday, football Sunday, get it set up. It's supposed to arrive at 1 p.m. I'm following on the tracker. 1 p.m. turns to 3 p.m. 3 p.m. turns to 4:30. Whatever. I don't care. I still have a TV. 4 p.m. turns to 6 p.m. 6 p.m. turns to 7:30. It gets there around 8:15. That's fine. I don't care. It still blows my mind I can buy a big TV and have it at my house 3 days later. Like, that's pretty cool. So I have no qualms with any of that. TV shows up. It's massive. It's way too big. It doesn't fit. I'm gonna have to return it. I was eyeing some different ways to set it up. What was really the backbreaker? Because I'll say this: if I wall mounted it and put it up, it would fit. I wouldn't do that. I don't do that. Wall mount? No way.
If you got somebody to mount it, literally fit on the wall.
Go to TaskRabbit.
There's people who know how to do it.
You don't need that stress in your life. I have no testosterone in that way. It could have worked. It would have been big.
But it would literally fit.
It would have fit. And I don't want to say comfortably, but it would have fit. What really hurt me is our current TV is not wall mounted. And at the current height it's at is good. So I don't know. The stand that came with the TV's so big that the stand is too big for the TV. What do you call that? Console? Yeah. So now, if I keep the TV that's way too big for my apartment, I have to get a new TV table. So now I'm going to have an uncomfortable looking TV, and I have to get a new TV table. I bailed. I'm going to return it. I called last night. Got a very friendly representative, which was nice.
On this weekend, that's
not
a guarantee.
No guarantees. And I should take a step back because he might have jaked me, and I'll tell you what jaked is. He was very helpful, except for the fact that I couldn't do anything because he was like, technically in our system, you haven't received this yet. Because I called an hour after it was received. I messed around with it a little bit. I tried to line some things up, landed on it being too big. Get on the horn. So, hey, maybe that person was just like, oh, this isn't even going to be on my plate. I'll be friendly. But yeah, I was pretty excited. I still am. But yeah, 85-inch for the apartment was way too big. I think 70 would be a good landing spot. But I also need to check in on the stand because I still want to put it on the TV table and don't want to mount it.
Yeah, you want to just keep everything else the same.
But God, a lot of tough emotions. Because could you make it work? Probably. Is it going to ruin my next 2 weeks? Definitely. So I'll keep you guys updated on the TV saga. I'm excited to watch more. Big Evan, who has the humor bone, did hit me with pretty sick flex having a Jumbotron in your apartment. And yeah, it was too obnoxious. So I don't know. Just a reminder to measure for things before you buy them. Because yeah, I don't know how much hell I'm currently in. In theory, deliver me new TV, deliver out old TV. We're good. And I did get it through Best Buy, no free ads. My early friend at Best Buy that ended up not helping me, and the more I'm realizing that, maybe I should stop complimenting them. But they did make it seem like that's a pretty normal transaction. Person orders TV that's too big. No me gusta. I still want TV, not as big. So I'll keep you guys updated on that drama. Just reminding myself I have to call back. With that, it was Football Sunday waiting for the TV. And it goes back before that to Thanksgiving Day. The non-exciting Thanksgiving slate that we were given. The highlight game ended up turning into Packers-Dolphins at the end of the night. But it started with Bears-Lions. And my Bears, they gave us a game, man. Caleb puts up another strong stat line. 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 20 for 39, which in today's NFL, that's a pretty tough percentage. But he was asked to pass it 39 times. They only ran the ball 15 times against the mighty Detroit Lions, who are now on a 10-game win streak. And the memory that ends up coming from this game is the Bears driving to tie the game. They're down 3 late. They made it a game, a 13-point fourth quarter against the Lions, and they've got the ball back with a chance to win on a touchdown or tie on a field goal. They have 1 timeout, and they make a pass to the middle of the field with about 30 seconds left on the clock. And the option is take that timeout now, set up your offense, or it's run a quick play, get back to the line, run a quick play, and then depending that result, you can use your timeout and go from there, or if it's incomplete, the clock stops. The Bears went with the approach of let's get up to the line and call a quick play. So they get to the line, not moving with tremendous pace. I think we got guys in motion. We're setting things up. The clock is ticking. We hit like the 10-second mark, and everyone's looking around like, I don't know about this, Jim. Hike it with about 7 on the clock, I believe. They end up going for the downfield pass. It's incomplete. The time runs out and hits 0. They don't even get a chance. I think at the yard line they were at, it would have been like a 59-yard field goal. I think that's right around the kicker's long. It's also indoors, so, there's a chance. This turned into a fantastic sports debate in the group chats, online, wherever. Who is the blame on? Eberflus, the not super loved coach, former coach after the game, or young Caleb? And I think this is unfortunately a classic case of both things were right. Caleb probably should have had a little more gusto going to the line and getting the team in order and getting the playoff if you're going to take that route. Eberflus probably should have called timeout there with his young quarterback. You draw up 2 plays, or even you draw up 1 good play, you spike it, and you're going to have a shot at the field goal. So a chunk of it is on Eberflus, who not only defended the action after the play, which in hindsight, maybe he knew he was going to get fired. A lot of momentum was heading that way, and everyone's going to be Team Caleb over him. The more I talk about it, I'm probably 70-30 Eberflus. Probably just call the timeout. Don't even put your rookie quarterback in that position. But in that position with the 30 seconds, you should be getting to the line and getting a playoff with 15, something like that, and have your timeout ready to go. They did neither. They lose 23-20. Lions 11-1. Detroit Lions. Where their record is at. I've never done this before, so I guess if you're like a psychologist, let me know what this means. Every time I look at that record, I think of if I was a little kid and I saw a team with that record, I'd be like, whoa, that team is so good. And for whatever reason, I don't fully have that with the Lions. I don't know if it's Goff. I don't know if I want Dan Campbell to be my religion so much that I'm scared that this doesn't work. I don't know. I'm not as in on the Lions as some of the media is depicting, and I think as each day goes by, the team that I've audibled to as my Super Bowl pick, maybe that's part of the reason I'm not as into the Lions. Bears 4-8. But Caleb has been showing some very solid signs recently, and I think the Bears ownership just came out and said that this is going to be the most appealing job in football. So you would think that if you work at that place. Cowboys and Giants played. I'm all right. I'm all right. Cooper Rush and Drew Lock. That's pretty wild. Rico Dowdle got it going on the ground. Don't care. Sorry. Cowboys defense is kind of playing better, but how do you judge it against the G-men? Parsons is back. I know. That's fine. And then Packers-Dolphins kind of turned into the primo game. The 5-6 Dolphins with a chance to get to 500. They've been playing with Tua. They've been a lot better. Man, I always wonder how much stuff that's not real is real. Whoa. The Miami Dolphins playing in cold weather seems to be a real thing. They were down in the first half, 24-3. Tua and the gang starts throwing it all over the yard in the second half, and it looks a little more respectable, 30-17, with a late Tyreek Hill touchdown, which I did bet because I bet too much this Thanksgiving holiday because it was 6 days with my in-laws. But yeah, that essentially ends kind of ends the Dolphin season, and the Packers are somehow 9-3. That whole division outside of the Bears, incredible records. That it's going to be interesting to see where they land come postseason time because nobody's really sure what to do with the Packers. Nobody's really sure what to do with the Vikings, who we'll get to in a minute. Jordan Love and Jonnu Smith. Shout out to Jonnu Smith. Maybe my best fantasy free agent ad in a long time. Jonnu Smith's been killing it for me. Huge. That leaves Thanksgiving, a tough slate, but something to get us all through the day. Friday, Chiefs-Raiders. Yeah. Although the Chiefs seemingly win the same game they've won every week this year. 19-17, the Raiders, who came into the week with their head coach saying they might be the worst team in the league. The Chiefs coming in at 10-1, running that division and just being these pseudo Super Bowl favorites, even though it feels like they're winning the same ugly game every week. They won the same ugly game, and it ended on a botched snap where the QB was looking to the sideline, and it bounces off of him as the Raiders were driving. I don't know, man. I'll tell you another fun sports conversation to put in the group chat or listen to whoever's talking about it. These Kansas City Chiefs are going to put people in the blender because this year, if you didn't know names or the fact they've won back-to-back Super Bowls, this would be the team everyone's pointing at that like, whoa, they are not who their record says they are. They're going to lose the ugly postseason game. If it wasn't Mahomes and Reed, I think you'd believe that, but nobody believes that because the Chiefs kind of did this to us last year, and they won it all. So it feels like they have an on button that they haven't pressed yet. All of the statistic leaders in this game are Raiders. Aiden O'Connell, kind of better stats than Patrick Mahomes. Brock Bowers, looking like he's arguably the best tight end in football. So, hey, maybe some hope for Raiders fans. For now, Chiefs win 11-1. Kansas City Chiefs. Which all leads us to Sunday. I'm going to Band-Aid this one because this was my against the spread lock. I thought the Falcons off a bye week. At home, Chargers coming West Coast to East Coast, having lost J.K. Dobbins. No. The Chargers win 17-13. They're now 8-4. I don't know, man. Kirk has 4 interceptions in this game. It felt like the Falcons were clicking and Cousins was getting better and they were finding it. And they've just been sprinting the wrong direction. I was going to say this is a must-have game for them. The division is still a disaster. They're technically tied for the division lead with Tampa at 6-6. But that's after losing a 3-point game to the Saints, this game to the Chargers where Young-Ho Koo, he missed a field goal early that would have changed the game path. This is the same Falcons team who beat the Eagles, and then they were about to beat the Chiefs early on this season. They lost on a controversial end of game, if you remember that. They then rolled off 3 wins in a row, 5 out of 6, and now they've lost 3 in a row. And I don't know, man. I really thought it was coming together. Kirk was becoming one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch, and it just feels like they're sprinting the wrong direction. I don't know if it's like cursed franchise stuff, while Harbaugh and the Chargers roll on. Lad McConkey. Steelers, Bengals. God, everyone was holding on to Bengals stock, and they lost it. Dogecoin? I don't know. I still think that's doing okay. I have no clue. The Steelers, man, this was fun to watch. Russ throws for 414. Yo. I think the cool thing, this was a back-and-forth shootout, and then the Steelers won in Steelers' way. T.J. Watt had a strip sack. They stretched it out to a 2-score lead, and that was kind of it. And the Bengals' defense is atrocious. What Burrow's doing, this is arguably his best season, and they are 4-8 after this. The Steelers are 9-3. They put up 20 points in the second quarter. Najee Harris looks better than he's ever looked. I still like Jalen Warren. I know he's been banged up this year, but he contributes. Pickens, Freiermuth, and Russell Wilson threw for 414. It's insane. A lot of that is good Steelers coaching, belief, and Russ cooking. A lot of that, I think, unfortunately, is also the Bengals' defense, which looks like it may have tanked one of Burrow's best seasons. Vikings, Cardinals. Vikings are 10-2. What? They beat the Cardinals 1-point score, 23-22. The Cardinals have played a bunch of 1-point games this year. Dolphins was 1 point. Niners was 1 point. Is there one more? No. But they lose this one. Final drive from Darnold and the gang. Justin Jefferson showed back up. He had been missing for like 6 quarters. Big 4th down conversion. They get the touchdown pass to Aaron Jones. 10-2. I don't know. I'm not in on the Vikings for being 10-2. I'm in on the Vikings for being a solid football team, but 10-2. And the Cardinals, they dropped to 6-6. They're probably kicking themselves in the butt pretty hard from this one. After winning 4 in a row, they've lost their last 2, that ugly 16-6 last week against the Seahawks, and then 23-22 at the buzzer to these Vikes. Colts, Patriots, kind of a no thank you. AR5 leads the boys down to get a game-tying touchdown, but they say screw it. Both of these teams kind of don't matter. They go for 2. They get it. AR5 in fantasy world put up another big boy game. Good to see him back. The Colts are 6-7. Does that mean anything? I think the AFC playoff picture is close. Not close to being finished, but like if my Broncos win tonight, Monday Night Football, baby, the AFC doesn't have a lot of wild card options. The Colts winning this game was huge for them being like the only team in the mix. Patriots fans, sneaky. This was a sneaky happy they lost game. When the final draft position comes out, they're going to be okay that they lost this game to the Colts. Seahawks, Jets, 26-21. This was insane. The Jets looked awesome. Rodgers looked healthy. He was balling. They're doing reverses, and he's throwing the block. He's laughing. The offense was clicking. A classic Devontae Rodgers to Devontae hookup, if you will. They're about to score and go up 3 touchdowns and basically end the game. They were up 21-7. They're driving. Aaron Rodgers misses Garrett Wilson on a pretty wide-open touchdown pass. I say pretty wide open because, again, these guys have different standards and expectations, but I think it was a slant and go. Wilson had him beat. If Rodgers puts it there, easy money touchdown. It would have been 28-7 early on. Rodgers misses the throw, and they're still having a blast. Like, it's 21-7. They're dominating this game. Rodgers kind of lets out like a damn, missed that one. I'm Aaron Rodgers. I shouldn't miss that one. The next play, Leonard Williams, 92-yard interception return for a touchdown. Welcome back to MetLife. It's now, instead of 28-7, it's 21-13. Only Seahawks scored the rest of the way. 2 field goals and a touchdown in the fourth by Zach Charbonnet. Jets somehow, some way, find a more Jetsy way to lose. This game should have been a blowout in their favor, and they ended up losing 26-21. Commanders-Titans, not really, although this was a huge game for the Commanders. Jaden Daniels and Scary Terry linked up for 2 touchdown passes in the first half. They were up 28-7. So the Titans showed some fight there, but the Commanders put them away late. This was massive for them. I told you guys last week. It makes them 8-5 going into their bye week. If they had somehow lost this and were 7-6 and had lost 4 in a row, you're really asking questions. Instead, you win your get-right game. You get a bye week to reset. And I think that Commanders love that had gone away for a little bit. I think you're going to see that on the upswing. Titans, 3-9. Levis and some of the stuff they were doing as a team was just oogly. Oogly. Speaking of ugly, Texans-Jaguars, 23-20. The highlight you might have seen from this game, Trevor Lawrence got rocked on a QB slide. The game was really chippy going into that. Game was real chippy coming out of that. Texans are on fraud watch a bit. From the team that they were last year and who they were expected to be. They lost 3 of their last 4 coming into this game, and the Jaguars almost found a way back into it with Mac Jones leading the way. They did not. Jags, 2-10. Nico Collins, really good. If you still have the Houston wide receivers kind of just lumped together as like, this Nico Collins, he is incredible. Joe Mixon back in a big way for them too. Rams Saints, ugly. Rams gets shut out in the first half. It's 6-0 Saints because they had to settle for 2 field goals. Rams come out and dominate the second half. Saints had a drive at the end to try to tie it up. Kamara was so good in this game, and yet it felt like they didn't give him the ball enough. And I don't know if that's Saints. I don't know if that's Carr. I don't know what it is. Rams get back to 500. The NFC West, baby. Seattle leads the way at 7-5. Otherwise, Arizona 6-6. Same with the Rams. Rams, I don't know where they're at. I think they don't have the talent of some teams, and that shows up week to week. But if they can talent with you, I think they'll find a way. Buccaneers Panthers. This will be my fun bad betting story of the weekend. I bet the over. I'm waiting for my TV. I'll place a Bucks Panthers bet. Over 46. Adam Thielen has a touchdown pass called not a touchdown to end the first half, which if you're someone betting the over in Panthers Bucks, you don't like that. Okay, I've got that going against me. Both teams settled for very short field goals, which is exhibit A of how to lose an over bet. Second half comes out. Baker gets banged up. Another way to lose an over bet. Their bet, Kyle Trask, I believe is their backup quarterback. Big-time recruit. Played at Florida. I think 4 years in the NFL. He's had like 7 passes or something. So you're like, okay, here we go. Bucky Irving looked incredible this whole game. Had the group chat yelling, how do they not give him the ball every play? Mike Evans had another highlight Mike Evans touchdown catch that's just...
That was really cool.
He makes look routine, and it's just not. Freakish stuff by him. Again, the Bryce Young development story is getting fun. He's moving the ball downfield, and they sure were. As the Panthers drive and get a touchdown with 30 seconds on the clock to take the lead 23-20. But that was 30 seconds for Baker. And if you're doing math here, They set up my guy McLaughlin. 51 yards, never a doubt. Bangs the field goal to tie it up 23-23. We just need one more score. Buccaneers miss a field goal in overtime. My guy McLaughlin, never a doubt. Panthers come down. LOL, same. Bucks get it back. They get another field goal. You remember all the bets you lose when you shouldn't lose. That's one that I should probably remember because I had no business winning that after a little bit, and yet I did. So that's Bucks Panthers. Yeah, it was emotional. I'm still feeling it a little bit.
I had similar emotions going during that game. I had two different four-leg parlays. I won't get into the details, but both of them needed
Bucks to win.
One needed a Bucky Irving touchdown. One needed a Chuba Hubbard touchdown. And every time they got down there, I was losing it a little bit.
Yeah,
I just either hits and I'm good for the day.
If you're one of those people out there that's not sure about the sports gambling, Bucks Panthers is a reason why.
Yeah,
golly, which set up. Well, this game happened at 4, and then it set up a beautiful night game of Bills Niners, Eagles Ravens. My Ravens had been my Super Bowl team. I didn't super care about the record. Lamar, I saw more on the internet that was sick. It was like Lamar's 3 interceptions this year are not his fault. They all went off their receivers' hands. I was like, that's awesome. Saquon versus King Henry. It's pretty cool. We don't get running back matchups like that again. We got a good game. We were robbed of a great game. Because what is going on with Justin Tucker? Justin Tucker, like the guy of guys for kickers for a while, was so good that I think it was popular to dislike Justin Tucker, which it's really hard to be a kicker that's that good. He misses 2 field goals in this game. The final score looks interesting. It's 24-19 because the Ravens drove late and got another touchdown on the board. Those Justin Tucker field goals were just so massive because not only did he miss them, but he gave the Eagles field position, which this Eagles team is way too good, and they were stout on the defensive line. They held Henry to 82 yards rushing. Their offensive line, because they keep pounding you with Hurts and Saquon, that you end up getting worn out, that at the end of the game, Saquon gets his big run and touchdown to somewhat finish them off. The Eagles on both lines are just monsters. And I think the way to beat them, and this may sound obvious, but it's get a lead and then have Hurts try to beat you through the air. Hurts only had to throw 19 passes in this one. Again, that's the old Eagles formula that works. It's been working. Some of the Sirianni numbers are insane of his record as an NFL coach. They now believe and are using that like hostility within to just go win every football game. I think they're the easy Super Bowl favorites right now, and maybe the team rivaling them, the Buffalo Bills, blow out the Niners at home. We get a Josh Allen touchdown pass to himself. Fun in a lot of fantasy football circles, if that mattered for you. James Cook, 107 on the ground. It was hilarious watching defenders try to run around on ice skates out there. And then 49ers are 5-7. Injuries are real. And just some of the luck and weird things that are happening this year. Sometimes things are cursed. Sometimes the season just gets away from you. And it feels like that's what's going on in San Francisco. That it's going to be an interesting offseason for them. You know, Shanahan had kind of been the bee's knees. Brock Purdy, I was fully on the Purdy trade. And it hasn't been pretty there. Meanwhile, in Buffalo, who is Josh Allen throwing to? And it kind of doesn't matter. This is very impressive. I think it's coming down to him and Saquon for the MVP. I know there's a big Saquon push, but if Josh Allen keeps leading these Bills, God. Dawson Knox, Khalil Shakir, Quentin Morris, James Cook, Amari Cooper, Ty Johnson, Matt Collins, Ray Davis, and Zach Davidson had a target. I don't know. But Josh Allen is making it work in impressive fashion. So, a fun football weekend. Let's go Broncos tonight, except I need Cortland Sutton like under 70 yards. No reason. Thank you guys. Subscribe to the channel. We'll see you with a fun episode Wednesday.
Talkin Jake is a production of Dan Patrick Productions, John Boy Media, and Workhouse Media.